I'm just wondering for myself as well, but there's also the issue in that it seems to me that there's a greater quality to the love that we develop in the earth plane, in that once we reach the spirit world, it's immediate, the feedback, when we step out of harmony with love.
Yeah, we'll talk about that in a minute, I think.
Whereas, on earth, we must develop that internally.
Yeah.
Is that?
Yes, and see, here on earth, what Mary's talking about is here on earth, we have the ability to do the wrong thing and do the right thing and do things in between. We have a wide scope of potential activity that we can have, right? Now, in that wide scope, we don't receive immediate feedback as to the choice we just made. So if you take an unloving action, for example, there's not an immediate feedback for the unloving action or behaviour, right? There is a feedback system, and as you develop, you will find yourself becoming more and more sensitive to that. But there's not the seeming immediate response or penalty associated with taking an unloving decision. In the spirit world, if you take unloving decisions and choices, there is an immediate response, right? And that causes people to make change without change necessarily needing to be sincere. Do you understand? In other words, it causes people to live in the spirit world, I mean. They make some changes, particularly on the natural love path, which is the first 6 dimensions. I'll talk about them in a sec. It causes people to make changes without the changes being in the soul. They're in the mind only. And on earth, the changes we make have to be in the soul. And we learn to do them in the soul. If we're sincere about it, we learn to do it in the soul. When I say have to be, the only way you're going to make sincere changes on this planet is by doing it in your soul. And the reason why I say that is because if you do it in your mind only, when nobody is around and there's nobody else other than just you and God, you'll be drawn to take unloving decisions and actions that you would not have normally done when other people were around. Many of us already do that, right? Like, how many men would watch pornography as long as no one's around in comparison to watching it when somebody's around? Or, let's be more specific, how many men would watch pornography as long as there's no one else around, or there's other men around watching pornography, rather than watching pornography when they're with their own partner? Can you see the challenge of it is greater when other people are around generally? That's the truth of things. So what often happens with our development on earth is that we have this, there has to be sincere changes towards love on earth for us to actually make major decisions and choices that are different. Oftentimes we don't make sincere changes and we only do things differently because people observe. Does that make sense? Whereas in the spirit world, when we arrive in the spirit world, everything is automatically as we've created. And I'll describe some of the spirit world to you, and maybe in another talk, about how automatic feedback is given. You can see your own body. Now, have any of you watched the movie or read the book?
Dorian Gray.
Sorry?
Dorian Gray, is that what you...
Yeah, Dorian Gray. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, some of you read Dorian Gray. And it's a story about a man who does evil things, and he goes to a mirror and all of a sudden his face has changed to reflect the evil thing he did. It's a portrait. What happened was somebody painted a portrait of him, and then as he does things that are evil, the portrait changes and looks more demonic. It looks like he's degraded his condition. Now, for most of us, that is what is happening on earth. Every time we live out of harmony with love, there's something in our spirit body that actually changes, and our condition looks worse. The whole reason why we age is because our body changes towards the point of it looking the same as our spirit body. Do you understand? I don't know if all of you got that?
Yes.
The reason why we're aging is because our body is actually changing to approach what our spirit body actually looks like. Do you understand? So the reality is, if we were in more love, our spirit body would be in a very, very young condition, and our physical body, we could be 100 and look 25. Right? In other words, our physical body would change to meet the condition of our spirit body. But for the majority of us, our physical body is changing and looking older and more haggard, and eventually we get so aged and decrepit in our body, because that's now a mirror of our spirit body, that we actually can't sustain life anymore, and we pass. And that's why we pass. It's the reality of why we pass. If we were living in harmony with love and truth and humility, and we were at one with God, we'd look around 25 years of age or so. All of us. It doesn't matter whether you're 100 or 25. You still look 25. Yeah? Does that make sense to him, right? Yeah. So the spirit body, the physical body approaches the age of the spirit body, and that tells us, that's a beautiful feedback system that tells us that obviously there are things that are out of harmony with love. If we're getting older and more wrinkled and everything's happening, right? That's what's going on. Yeah. That's a bit shocking, isn't it? No, that's what I'm talking about. This is some of the truth. And